All right. Hey, how's it going? What's happening? Yesterday, Nelson built this super cool little Super Mario Bros. Screen, and he asked for us to animate it. So got this working. I'm going to use JavaScript and ChatGPT today to show you kind of my coding process and how I would go about doing this. Hopefully, it won't take too long. As you can see, I've already done it once before, so I have a good idea. But let's start from scratch and see what we can do. So the live stream that he did yesterday was this recreate Super Mario Bros. Start screen with Flexbox. So I would just hop in here. And I think he's got his clonable right here. Yeah, so let's go to the clonable. Something I did notice is that when I cloned this, it wasn't the finished product. So we'll call this Mario Animate YouTube. Create site. Yeah, you see it's not finished. The bricks aren't down here and there's no Mario, but we'll fix all that. So no big deal. But he was working in this Mario run page to get Mario running, and there's some code down here that he wrote, which, yeah, we're not going to use this code, but it's pretty dang close. I think let's go ahead and publish and see what it does so far. Okay, so if I'm pressing the right arrow key, and you can see Mario's moving, and it's the shape is changing a little bit, and it goes left too. So we will fix all of this using ChatGPT. So a quick little rundown of the Webflow project here. We've got div block 2 and div block 3, and then within that there are 5 Mario images. We're really not going to need these other ones, so I'll delete those. We just need the one. And he's got a definite width and height. I think we're going to have to change this to 44 and 58, and this is based off of the sprite images here. So this is like resting state Mario, just hanging out and chilling, being cool. And then for the running state, we're going to switch. I think I'm going to start with this, maybe this one. One of these, this will be the first one. This will be the second sprite. This will be the third one, and then we'll go back to this one. And then it'll start all over again. So we're just going to loop an image being replaced. That's how, yeah, that's basically how sprite animation works. So let's go ahead. I'm going to open up ChatGPT. I think it's .com. And we'll log in. I'm going to use GPT-4 today. I pay for ChatGPT. It does take a little bit longer to execute, but hopefully it won't take that long. But let me zoom in. And what I'll do is I'm going to, do the first one and hopefully iterate on it as we go, show you how I use ChatGPT in the first place to give it the right context, or at least a decent context, and then go from there. So, hey, ChatGPT, I want to animate an image on my website. I have 4 images of Mario and want to create a running animation when I... Hey, Mike, how you doing? Thanks for popping in. Appreciate your nice comment yesterday, by the way. That was nice. I have 4 images of Mario and want to create a running animation when I hold down the right arrow key. Let's see. This should be in JavaScript. Let's see what that gives us. It's not a very good prompt, but let's see what we get. Oh, come on, give us some code. Here we go. Oh, I don't need all this stuff. Okay, so it's making CSS for Mario. It's giving it a square width and height, so 100 by 100. This means the ID, so it's looking for an ID of Mario, and then in our HTML, it makes a div with an ID of Mario that this is styling. We're not going to worry about that because we already have Mario on our page. But here's the good stuff. Here's the JavaScript. So it's creating an array called Mario images, and we'll get these paths from the Webflow project. And then it's using get element by ID on the document to get our Mario element, and then it's making 2 global variables here, so current index and is running, and then we have some functions down here. So let's see. Yeah, so it has a function called animate Mario, and if is running is set to true, then it's going to add 1 to the current image index, which again starts at 0, and then it's going to use the modulo operator divide by Mario images.length, which in this case is 4, And so what this essentially does is it says start at 0, increment to 1, go to 2, go to 3, because this is like Mario images of 3. But then as soon as we go to 4, so this will be 3 plus 1 equals 4. Modulo 4, we go back to, what do we go back to? I think it's probably going to go back to 1 in this case, right? I would imagine I want it to go back to 0 though. But we can check that real quick. So if we get 4 mod 4, we get 0 actually. Okay. But 4 mod 5 gives us 4, but that's okay because this will go back to 0. So it'll be 1 mod 4. And I assume this is really hard to see on the stream, so let me zoom in a bit. And so that gives us 1. So that's what the modulo operator does. Can we give Mario a cart? No, we cannot, but thank you for asking. How you doing? That's my girlfriend, Heather. She loves Mario Kart. Let's see. Although we have never played it together. And you know, Nelson actually had his NES on the stream yesterday. Including his Mario hat and something else. So I don't have an NES, but I do have my Switch. I think it's probably out of battery right now. See if, what are the chances it turns on? Not turning on, you can tell. I haven't been gaming enough. But I do need to practice my Mario Kart so I can crush Heather. Anyways, let's get back to business here. So what's going on here is when we're using add event listener on the document to listen for the key down event. So, and then this is going to fire anytime the user presses essentially any key on the keyboard, and then it's going to check the event code. So we get this event object here, and it has a property called code on it, and we look for if arrow right is pressed. If arrow right is pressed, then we set that is running global variable that we have up here to true, and we'll call Animate Mario. And Animate Mario, again, is the one we kind of already went over. And we can see here it's changing the background image, so this is already not going to work with our code that we have. But, you know, we didn't give ChatGPT that much context of our Webflow project. And then on key up, it says it sets is running to false, and that is, and it doesn't call Animate Mario or anything. So should be good to go there. But down here at the bottom, we have this set interval Animate Mario 100. And so what's going on is that this is going to, every 100 milliseconds, we're calling Animate Mario. And Animate Mario is only actually going to do anything if is running is true, which only happens when we press the key down, because when the key is released, it sets to false. Anyways, hey, what's up, Anshul? Thanks for popping in. Okay, so let's go ahead and get all this code. If I control A, no. Anyways, we don't need that comment. So let's copy that. And I've got a code sandbox here. Let's create a new sandbox. This will be a static sandbox. We'll call this Mario YT. Let me zoom in so everybody can see, and we'll make index.js. So we're making a JavaScript file here. Going to paste that code. So that's all in there. Now there's a couple things we need to do before we can actually run this. I need to grab the URL up here where our code is being hosted. Come back to my Webflow site, and we'll go to this Mario run page, and we'll say goodbye to Nelson's ChatGPT code and start making our own. So we're opening up a script tag, and we're getting the source, and we want to get the file at index.js, and then we'll close the script tag and we'll save. And something we can do first is just up here, we will log that we're loading the file and save this just to double check that we're loading the file properly. So I'm publishing because we changed the script tag. Come on, come on, come on. Don't do this to me, Webflow. All right. So refreshing, and you can see nothing happens when I press arrow right or anything really, but we did get load. And let's go back to code sandbox. You know, in here I could say console.log our event object. And so if I refresh, now if I press right, oh, there's our event object. And so you can see inside of event, there should be a property here, code. Yep, and the code was arrow right. Now if I press something else, let's go, what happened? Okay. Let's collapse this again. Now if I press, let's say I press the key F, I'm pressing F key. Down here, we can see that the code was key F. So we don't care about it, but I just want to show you kind of what's going on. The other thing we should look at is, so we have this set interval calls our animate Mario function every 100 milliseconds. So if I console.log animate Mario, we're just going to see this spew everywhere inside of, yep. So inside of our console here, we see it ticking up. All right, so that's a good rundown of the basics. Let's make this work for our project. So first thing I'm going to do is get these Mario images going. So let's come in here, and in our asset panel, we'll make resting state Mario the first one. We will get, this is going to be our second one. So I'm going, they're kind of populating in the browser bar in reverse order here. This will be our third one. And this will be our fourth one. So what I'm doing, I know we can't see in, let me see if I can drag this down. Oh, I'm screwing up OBS here. Mac OS screen capture. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so you see my browser bar here. So get our first URL here, and we're going to paste that into the path here. We'll get Mario number 2, paste him in here. Sprite number 3, paste him in here. Arcaduce, man, that is a name. Arcaduceus, thank you for stopping by. I love that name. I'm going to call you Arc. Why not use Rive? Good question. I've actually never used Rive before. So that is why I'm not using Rive. So we've got all these Mario images coming in. And then our code is also looking for, it's using document get element by ID Mario. So Mario needs an ID. So we've got Mario here. We've got a class of Mario, but we need to give it an ID of Mario over here. ID is already taken. Who took that Mario ID? Where is that Mario? It's probably, maybe it's on the main site. We'll just call this Mario image. And we made the changes to Webflow, so we need to publish. Let's make sure there's no other changes though. I think that's it that we need to do. I'm going to delete this console log because we don't need that. Delete this one too. We don't need that. Now it's still not going to work because we're setting the background image here. And in Webflow, we have just a regular image. So this is, you know, if you would come in here and drag in an image like that. And so we could either change out the image or we could change the background image. I think I'll just stick with what Nelson's got already. So let's refresh here. And I'm pressing the right key, but nothing's happening because of what I had mentioned. So what we'll do, now I'll show you, let's go back to the site. And, you know, I'm actually going to drag the screen back up because we don't need it anymore. Holler in the chat if you can't see anything or it's too small, whatever. Mike says, can Code Sandbox be used in production or is it for dev only purposes? So usually I use it for dev purposes, and then depending on the size of the project, I will just copy and paste the code into Webflow. Like in this case, I would probably just put it down here in the before closing body tag and get rid of this script tag. But usually if the build is any bigger, then I'm not going to be using Code Sandbox in the first place. I will be using Visual Studio Code. I have another video on how to set that up. Kind of like I have a progression of like, okay, first you go in Webflow and you write your code here, then you use Code Sandbox, and then you use Visual Studio Code. And I would host the code on something like JS Deliver or NPM for production for those purposes. Hope that answers the question. But if it's, you know, that's for a client site. If it's my own site, maybe I'll leave it hosted on Code Sandbox. Who cares? Where were we? Okay. Oh, I want to show you the image, right? So we're inspecting, we need to inspect Mario over here. So we know it's an image, and images have this source property. I can right click and store this as a global variable, and Chrome DevTools is going to store this image element as a variable called temp1. So now I can kind of inspect it and do temp1.source, and that's returning this asset file. So something I could do is I can say temp1.source equals, and I'm going to open close the quotations here to say that I'm working with a string. And we'll come over to images, and let's say we want to change it to jumping Mario actually. So I'm grabbing the URL. I know you can't see this, but I'm grabbing just the URL in the bar there. And we come down here and we paste. And now if I press enter, look, it's jumping Mario now. Um, and it's kind of weird because that I was expecting the other image to go away. Why is that? It's not clearing the original image, right? Anyways, I'm not gonna worry. You know, it is loading this one here. Oh, it's because our code set the background image um, in line here. So our code is running as well, and is setting the background images to the 0th index. So interesting. So if I got rid of this style tag here, then we see it's just Mario jumping. But if we refresh, everything goes back to normal because the changes we make here do not persist. Yeah, I should definitely try Rive. I'd love to. Ryan Brown, what's up? My old homie from the submarine. Your video popped up in the live stream when I was YouTubing to learn how Python coding with ChatGPT. Dude, you're ridiculous. Keep up the good work. Hey, man, I'll teach you how to do it right now. Just pay attention. What are you coding in Python, by the way? I'm curious. Oh, that's so awesome. Ryan Brown, I wonder if I have a picture of you back here. Probably not. Too old a homie. I don't. I have this old picture from the submarine, but Ryan and I just went through training together, not on the submarine. Oh, digression. Okay, let's get back on track here. Let's get back on track. So we need to say Mario. Now this is just like temp1, right? So we can access this like temp1. So we'll take the source and we're not going to pass the URL. We're going to pass, we've got Mario image of current image index. So let's delete this here and delete that there. And let's save. And let's see what we get now. So we'll refresh. Nothing's happening, of course. I'm going to refresh one more time and just see. Okay, so I'm pressing the right arrow and nothing is definitely happening. So let's debug and figure out what we did wrong. So if we're clicking arrow right, then we set is running to true and we call animate Mario. And I think the set interval, there might be something going on here. Like it's calling animate Mario already. So why do we need to call animate Mario with this within here? So let's console.log animate Mario and console.log is running is true. So we should expect, oh, did I need to publish animate Mario and is running is true? Did I publish since I added the ID? I don't remember. Oh, and we need to look for Mario image, of course. Whew, getting sidetracked when the buddies come in. Save that. The other thing I was going to console log is just Mario himself. But there we go. So I'm holding the right key and we've got Mario running. He's obviously not moving across the screen and he's janking around. He's getting small and getting big, eating a smaller mushroom, which as we know doesn't exist. Hey, Dale. Thanks for stopping by. Is it Dale or Dale? Not sure. Yeah, it's a bit of code for sure, but hopefully I explained it well enough. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, so what do I want to tackle first? So we can move Mario. I think I want to fix his height that's going on there. And so something we can do to look at that is I'm looking at the asset details. We can see this running one is 44 by 58 pixels. And this one is also 44 by 58. This one is 57 by 58. So this is causing an issue. And this is 57 by 58. But we can see the commonality is that Mario is 58 pixels tall. So let's go ahead and on div block 3, which is the parent, we'll rename this to Mario parent or Mario wrap. We'll get rid of our width there, and the height is set to, I'm going to remove the height as well. Now I'm zoomed in so we can't see what's going on with Mario while I have Navigator open, which is unfortunate. But let's go back to Mario and I'll close Navigator and I'll set the height to 58 pixels. And we don't get anything there. I need a width. If I set 100%, what do we get? We get nothing. And that's Mario parent. Let's set it on Mario parent. So was it 58 pixels? And now Mario is stretching the whole screen because we set his width to 100%. So if we go back, then we should be good. And it shouldn't need a height anymore because it's going to fill. I'll just set height to 100% so that it tries to fill up the height of of the Mario parent div here, which we set a fixed height of 58 pixels. So let's see if we publish, if we fix that little height issue that we had. So come back to the page here, refresh. And it's definitely fixing. There we go. I have to click it. I can't be holding it down. Oh, there it goes. It's definitely still got some jank. So it's starting, he's standing, then he goes to his little step, and then he goes to a big step, and then back to standing. So it's definitely not animating the best. So let's go back to ChatGPT. Thanks. I edited the code so it looks like below. Let's separate the resting state and running state. The resting sprite is the first index in the array. The running state should toggle between 3 states. Start with, what is it called? Mario images. Mario images of 1, then go to Mario images of 2, then go to Mario images 3, then go to Mario images, then go back to 2, and then start over while the right arrow key is being held down. I think that's all we need, but let's give it the code that we actually wrote. So I just Control A, we can get rid of load here. Control A and copy, and we'll paste that. Shift Enter, paste. All right, computer. Rhymes with sail. Okay, so Dale was the right way to go. I understand the changes you want to make. You want Mario to switch between images 1, 2, and 3, then go back to 2 before starting over. Here's the updated code to achieve the desired animation. All right. Take your time, GPT. Okay, so we can see already that when isRunning is true, we start at the index of 1. It's doing like a switch statement here, which is kind of interesting. This is totally different than when I originally did it, so it's funny. So what's going on is it's saying if it's running, and if the current index is 1, then set it to 2. If it's 2, then set it to 3. If it's 3, then set it back to 2. And otherwise set it to 1. And then we're here resetting that source property to whatever this logic up here determined needed to be current image index. Now this event listener is the exact same thing as before. And then on key up, we're setting isRunning to false, and we set current image index to 0 and set the source property back to that. So we can just grab this one. I mean, we could just take all the code. Let's just do that. I'm not going to get Mario images though. So that's all there. So I'm going to copy and paste everything here and save, and let's see what we get. Okay, it's kind of breaking. I think there's, let's see. The animation is janky. I think there might be a problem with calling Animate Mario in set interval and within our event listener for key down. Is there a way we can restructure so it's smoother? Okay, now it wants to go the route of request animation frame. Because essentially what's going on, so we're calling Animate Mario every 100 milliseconds. And that's fine, you know, if isRunning is false, nothing is going to happen. But when we hit key down, we're going to call Animate Mario again, which will change the image. But we're also calling Animate Mario every 100 milliseconds anyways. So I think ChatGPT kind of wrote some shoddy code here. So we may need to pull in the code that I wrote, or that it wrote for me the first time. So it's using Animate Mario, request animation frame. I have not experimented that much with it. I've definitely come across request animation frame a few times, but let's see. I think it just runs set interval, but like at a 60 frame rate, 60 frames per second frame rate, but I'm not sure. So we'll paste that and save, refresh. And now it's missing one of the states. Something I would do, I'm not sure. So like I could come into QuickTime and do a quick little screen recording to debug what's going on here. New screen recording. Record, and I'm just gonna click here and make Mario run. And I'm just gonna click it also a couple times and stop. Sometimes I debug animations like this. So I'm just skipping through frame by frame by pressing the right arrow key, and we can see. All right. As soon as I press right, he goes to this one, which let's make sure that that is the first one. So we want it to be this one here. And it is. And then let me bring QuickTime back. And then it goes to his mid step, which we know was the second, or the, 0, 1, 2. When I say second, I mean the third, but you get the idea. And then the big step, so that's good. And now we should go back to the half step, which it does. And then it goes back to the big step, but we want to go to I think the other one. Yeah, we want it to go back to the back step. So we'll call this back step, mid step, and we'll call this forward step. Back step, mid step, forward step. So there's definitely a problem with this logic here, right? If, let me see actually again, I just forgot. So mid step and then back to forward step. The problem is it's not actually restarting. So I think we want the code that it wrote before. So let's get that code. Actually, no, I don't want that because that doesn't go to the mid step. What am I going to do here? So let's debug this. So if it's 1, which is this one, then it goes to 2, which is good. If it's 2, then it sets current image index as 3, which is this one. If it's 3, then it sets it as 2, which is good. But now it's 2, so it's going to go back to 3. So let's copy this. This logic is wrong. We need to switch between array indices like so. 1, then 2, then 3, then 2, then back to 1, and loop that. We need to modify the logic slightly. Here's the updated Animate Mario function. Hey, Andres. Okay, so is this last animation frame timestamp in there? Yes, it is. That's fine. So let's copy this. If 1 goes to 2, if 2 goes to 3, if 3, still wrong, 3 goes back to 1. Otherwise, set it to 1. I think it's still going to look janky, so we may need to customize this. Save. Refresh. Yeah. It's still, I think it needs that mid step. This still does not work. It skips from index 3 to index 1, missing index 2 on the way back. We'll give ChatGPT one more chance. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. That's what we want. We'll introduce a new variable called direction. All right, that sounds good to me. That's exactly what I was thinking, is we need to implement some sort of variable to track which way we're going. And it's busting out ternaries on us. Man, this code is not good compared to what it wrote for me before. I guess my prompting is worse. So we'll replace this whole animate Mario function just like that. And we need these variables, so these go back up top. So current image index is running in last animation frame, but now we also get last direction. Is it still? Still looks awful to me. I think it's still missing something. And now he's gone. But, you know, I think it looks good enough. I'm curious. It's hard for me to tell. Hey, Max. I'm going to go with Max here from Ukraine. What's up? Not too much. Just coding away here, trying to animate stupid Mario. Okay, let's walk through the code of what it's doing, and then we can maybe look at it. But I think we should move on and try to move Mario to the right is one thing that I want to do. So when the timestamp minus last animation time is greater than 100, then direction, we're setting direction equal to current image index equal to, if what's happening here, this is a ternary, so it's saying if your current image index equals 3, then it's kind of this, and this is this even a nested ternary? Oh man, terrible. Then we set it to -1. Otherwise, let's see, this is overcomplicating it. Current image index, if this is another kind of like, so this is going to give us a Boolean. So if current image index equals 1, then we know that we're going in the forward direction, and last direction equals -1. Otherwise, yeah, man, this is, let's have ChatGPT explain it. This is some wild code. Can you explain that? Nested ternary operator. Let me break it down for you. Outer ternary checks if current image index equals 3. If it's true, sets direction to -1. This means the current image index is 3. We should go back to index 2 in the next animation frame. Okay? If it's not equal to 3, so which one was that? It's hard to see here. So that's the nested ternary, which is basically this question mark is the alternative of the result of this. Let's say then it updates the direction and the current index. Can you rewrite that code but not as ternaries, but not use ternaries? Could we maybe use an array with the frame indices and loop through it? 1, 2, 3, 2. Yeah, we totally could. I don't see why we couldn't. Let's see what we get here. So, Mike, you're saying we have, so we'll have an array like states array equal 1, 2, 3, 2. And then when in Animate Mario, we'll check for, we'll have to get like current state. We'd need another variable, current state equals 1 would be the default. And we'll just get the next, yeah, we'll just loop through the array. I like that a lot better. So we got it without ternaries, which could make sense. Let's try it this way. What if we use a state array, like state array and tracking variable like so? grab those. Great idea. It's all Mike Petch's idea. Current state equals 0, which is, that's going to be our running state, which is fine. And then we go back to the modulo. I think this is going to, oh no, it's going by state array.length because we put the 2 here, so it's going to go back to 2. And it looks a lot simpler, which I like. So we'll go back. Boom, we'll drop that in there. And they want it to start at 0. And let's see what we get now. It's still the same as the previous one. Maybe that's how it's supposed to look. Let's see. QuickTime. This is taking a little longer than expected. Sorry about that, but I guess that's the way it goes. Record. Okay, we've got some recording done. Close out of that, and let's see. Try to get rid of the... So back step, mid step, and then it goes back to back step. Oh no, forward step, mid step, back step. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, it's working how it should. So we're gonna move forward with it. So just back to the code. Great job, Mike. So we've got our array, we've got our state tracker, we've got our current state. And yeah, I don't think we need to walk through this. Essentially what's going on is we're setting current state equal to current state plus 1 and then modulating it by the length of our state array, which is this, which is 4. So we're just going current state equals 0, 1, 2, 3, and then it goes back to 0. Now current image index equals state array of current state. So that's setting our image index to whatever value is tracked here. And then we're setting the source property on Mario to that current image index. And then we are updating the last animation time with the current timestamp. So that's just with request animation frame tracking our timer. I'll save that. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to move Mario to the right. Great. It's working well now. Can we make it so that Mario moves to the right as well as to the left if depending on which arrow key is pressed? For example, when holding down the right arrow key, we want Mario to move to the right. When holding down, let's if the user presses the left arrow key, then we want to flip the image and have Mario run to the left. I think we will need another global variable to track which way Mario is facing for that. Can you please write the code? Maybe you want more frames. It looks good though. Yeah, if we want to change the frames, I was going to use the set interval timing to do that. But it had us update to this request animation frame, which I believe pushes for 60 frames per second just to start anyways. Because I don't have, well, I have this here, timestamp minus last animation time. If it's greater than 100 milliseconds. So this is going to run the animation if at least 100 milliseconds has passed. So we'd need to update this to change our timing that would make it smoother. We'll look at that next. Okay, so now we're looking at the Animate Mario. This is all the same. So current state is the same. We've got facing as a string variable. He's facing to the right. And then down here we have the key down, facing equals right when arrow right is pressed. And then we set the transform property to 1, which is going to make it, you know, the way its normal way, I guess I would say, or what the image comes as natively. And then Mario.style.left, so we're working on the left property here, is getting the current value of left, or 0. So if it can't get it, then it gets 0. And it's getting a string 0 and adding a value of 5 to it, parsing it as an int. So actually it's parsing it as an int first and then adding that integer value to 5. So if it started at 0, we would go to 5, and then it's adding the string pixels to that integer and setting it to the value of left on Mario. And it's going to do the opposite for when we go left, but it's going to set the scale to -1 in that case, so it flips Mario, and it's subtracting 5 in that case to update the position. And I think everything else is the same, so this is just our key down. Let's go back. I'll show you in Webflow really quick what it's doing. So if we grab Mario, this is Mario here. This is the one that we're editing. The left property is this absolute position. I guess Nelson decided to make Mario absolute, which is fine. And so it's setting this is the left property right here. So we see I've set it to 15%. Let me zoom in. And then if I hit the CSS preview and go to CSS preview, we can see Mario, this is the combo class with _1. His left property is set to 15%. So we're just going to set it in pixels. I'll option click that to reset it. But that's essentially what the code is doing. And then we can also, it's also working on the transform here. Scale, if we set the, I don't want to link these, but if we set the X scale here to -1, I guess it doesn't give us -1 in Webflow. Huh. 1, but you can see as I press down, it should flip, but it'll mirror horizontally is what happens when we give that a scale of -1. Anyways, that's what that is. I didn't change anything in the Webflow project, so I don't need to publish that, but we do need to update our code here. So we'll update the key down and paste that. And we need our global variable now, so that's this one here. We don't need this last direction anymore because we got rid of that because Mike is the man. And why are these giving us errors? Facing, is it going to say we're never using it? Yes, we need to, but we are using it down here, but it's because it's in a different closure, I believe, is why it's giving us that error. And then over here, what's it saying? Missing the radix parameter. Yes, we are. I think it'll work anyways, but you usually don't want to. Look at him, he's going. Okay, we've got Mario moving, and if we hold left, he starts moving that way too. He's kind of slow to get going. His acceleration is really low. So we're setting, let's set the radix. This is parse int radix mdn. We should look at the documentation for this. It's just telling it that we're going to tell it that it's a base 10 number. So the radix is the second parameter. You can set it as base 16, as base 2. For integers, we're going to use base 10, I believe. Yeah, this is for base 16. Let's tell ChatGPT. What radix should we use for parse int? Yep, and we're working with decimals. Okay, I don't need your updated code. So we'll go right there, comma 10, and save. I don't think that'll change anything. Yeah, it doesn't change anything. It's pretty awful. Yeah. It is pretty awful. Not working well. Some other things I might do is, let's see. That's working well now. Takes a little second for him to get going though. And what is going on there? We're updating left and adding 5. Are we moving? We have Animate Mario up here. Yeah, so something you could do, let's say that we're good to go, is we'll say actually, these are going to be constant values. So we'll come up here and say const running distance equals, set it to 10, and const animation interval equals, I'm going to say, let's do something a lot less. So that's going to be, 100 is going to be animation interval, and running distance is going to replace this value of 5 down here. Refresh. And now he's running really fast, or the animation is running really fast. But it's still kind of pausing and skipping. I don't like this code. Oh, and now it's not going back to the resting state. Let's bump this animation timing back up to, put it at 60. All right, let's give ChatGPT one more chance. In general, the code is working, but it seems to take Mario a few frames to start moving in the required direction. Can you fix that? It takes a second for him to get going. How freaking relatable. Yep. Especially in the mornings. The movement of Mario is happening only once per key down event, which causes the delay. We can fix this by using a separate variable to track if the left or right arrow key is pressed, and then updating Mario's position in the Animate Mario function itself. Okay, so now it's telling us to track the move direction, and within our Animate Mario, if it's not equal to 0, then we'll move him. And anytime we press it, we're setting it to 1 or -1. I'm not so sure about this, but let's give it a shot. Now the move direction is set to 1 when the right arrow key is pressed and -1 when left is pressed. When the key is released, move direction is set to 0. The Mario position update is moved into the Animate Mario function, which allows for smooth continuous movement in the desired direction. Okay, so they moved the position update into Animate Mario. Where was it before? Was it in the key down? Yeah, it was. Okay, well, let's see. Maybe that will fix it. Did I copy everything? No. So let's see, I have to be careful here. Hopefully that was good. It's looking a bit better. I think he should be running a little bit faster though, for the distance that he's going. We just have to start tweaking the variables now. No, that's too far. It looks bad, so we're gonna make Mario slower, which means we need the animation to run more slowly. And that's pretty good. It's slow, but it works. Let's change it back to 10, or let's do 8. I like that. And how was that? I like 10 actually. So we'll bump this down to 80. He's a little bit faster. Okay, now the last thing, let's say that we're done with our code. Now we just need to take this back to the original. Oh, I love it. It's so good. All right. I'm pretty happy with it now, actually. That looks really good. Oh, all right. We're happy. Okay, that took longer than I wanted, but whatever. Okay, we've got Mario here. We know that we need Mario image, and we know that we need our code on the main page. So I'm going to go ahead down here. And actually, let's pull in the code from Code Sandbox, like I think it was Mike was asking. Somebody was asking. And we'll come to home. I think everybody's gone by now. They got tired of me reading ChatGPT to them. Raise your hand if you're still here. Smooth. We got Mike. Right on. Thanks for hanging out. So we're putting that in there and save. And let's come to Mario image. This is on the Mario run page though. So we need to come home, and we have no Mario on home because for some reason the clonable is incomplete. Damn it, Webflow. But that's okay. Let's grab div block 2 from our main page. Come back up here, and we have screen wrapper. What's this div block? So this is going to be our bricks. So this needs to be a background image. We'll grab the bricks. Boom. And Nelson was showing how when you preview, the bricks go away because they have no height. I think they are also 58 pixels or something that works. And now we need to drop Mario as well. And we want Mario to be right on top, but he is not. So let's do this a little bit differently. I think it's because screen wrapper is set to space between. Yes, it is. So what we can do is I'm going to do Command Option G and wrap that, and we're going to put div blocks inside. So this is our bottom wrap, and now Mario is standing where we want him to stand. And it should still have Mario image, so let's publish and see what we get. And we can close the other ones. Moment of truth. Click the arrow. And it's broken. Why is it broken? There it goes. Okay. Why did it suck the first time? Oh, man. Oh, well, that was fun. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. I think we're going to call it there unless there are any questions in the chat. Not as good as I would have liked, but, you know, we got something on the table. So that is what matters. We did something today. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, so we are going to wrap it up. Thank you, Nelson, for throwing down the challenge. I will put this out as a clonable in case anybody's curious. Probably not, because it kind of blows, but see you later. All right, yeah. Hey, Mike, thanks for stopping by. That was really nice. Later.